Hey everyone, it's me, Patchtan Bogat. I'm recording this late at night because, not only am I waiting for the PlayStation 4 in the background of my room to basically wait for the countdown for Resident Evil 3, the remake, to actually fully download itself. I pre ordered it. But besides that, the real reason why I wanted to make this video is for a very important reason. I was thinking more or less about the very notion of absolute certainty. I thought that's very important because when I think about the left hand path and I think about my journey in the left hand path and how I'm able to look at Satan, I see I see Satan in such a way where he's an individual that taught me through my mistakes that you cannot be absolute about everything. Hear me out here. The reason why you're not supposed to be absolute about everything is that ask yourself, and I mean really meditate on that. Why do you feel you cannot be absolutely certain about everything in life? I mean that. Because the reason why I say that is when Satan taught me that, it gave me food for thought to really think about what the hell that really meant. Because through my mistakes in my life, I remember basing a lot, and I mean a lot, of my absolute certainty on getting things that I really, really were like just in the absolute sense, in a state of knowing, putting all my faith or whatever you want to call it into this one thing, and I never received it. And I'm pretty sure you've felt that way too. It's like if I put yourself in a situation like this, let's say you're with someone, right? How could you be absolutely certain that your wife or your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, or whatever have you, whatever it is you're interested in, right? Whatever your preferences are. And how absolute are you that they're not cheating on you when they're not with you? You really can't. You can only be as certain as the track record of that particular mate. And you would know that based off of their track record that you could be as certain as that. So in other words, if your mate have not cheated on you in the past, you could only be, let's say at best, and as the saying goes, 99.9999 certain that they're not, but not absolute, not 100%. We could live our lives as if we're living 100%, but it's not the same as being 100%, because no one should really claim absolute truth. And here's the reason being, the reason why Satan helped me to appreciate that, and I kid you not, it touched me in the fucking heart, because it dawned on me, because when I left the right hand path religion, I've deprogrammed myself of a lot of things, friends, and I mean a lot of things. But what I didn't really detach myself of is one of those things where it's not a major thing, but it is something, though small, that you would have to deprogram yourself of anyway. So, in other words, Satan didn't tackle this right away, this absolute belief system, which I've really had, just this huge indoctrination process when I was a Christian about this absolute truth. Because if you remember in all my videos, I almost always talk about this fundamental religion, this Christian group, this cult that I've came from, this Jehovah's Witness group, and they're very fundamental. They believe in the inerrant word of God. But of course, upon leaving, I saw nothing but fallacies left and right, and how it just doesn't resonate with me anymore. But here's my point: it's just inerrant. It's just absolute truth, and there's that word, absolute truth. But upon leaving, I start to realize there is no absolute truth, or at least I haven't found out this absolute truth. Or if I did, it was in that particular religion, and claiming absolute truth was such a hard thing to wrap my mind around it. And that's the thing when it comes to cults like that, because you have all these red flags. Your mind is giving you these hints, these subtle hints, like, all right, something is not right here. Like, for example, a red flag that came to me when I was a Christian, I was thinking as far as, I was thinking, how is it that these people, that's the religion, could believe in absolute truth? Me, and they would teach me that from the beginning, the conception of Judaism, the Jews, their religion. I know I botched the word, the name of the religion, Judaism, all the way up into Christianity, right? We think about these two religions, right? And we start from Judaism to Christianity, and we see here that if they believe in their God having absolute truth, all the way down to Christianity, how come the absolute truth had to change? You get what I'm trying to say? In other words, if something is absolute, why does it need to change? It needs to obviously not change, but to remain the same throughout all generations, regardless of what or who. It does not change. And that's not the same as saying that God's authority or his character changes, and his authority also changes over time, because the religion itself, aside from the Bible, is teaching that it has absolute truth. And that's not good. It's not good because when I was there, it was nothing but flip flopping and changing everywhere. So here's beginning to the point. I take that mindset, I come over to the left hand path, and beknownst to me, I'm putting Satan in that same category as this Yahweh figure. That he is inerrant, there's nothing wrong with him, and he's perfect without mistakes. That's a big problem because it's a self sabotage. Because no wonder when I look at Satan now, as opposed to looking at a Yahweh figure that puts himself so high up with no mistakes, you end up seeing like all the flaws and how an omniscient person cannot possibly tell the future and not know at the same time that, let's say, Adam and Eve would not sin and rebel. That's what I was taught. That did not make sense. And even if he looked into the future and knew that they were going to rebel and know the consequences and still done nothing about it, that bothered me. It still bothers me today. Why? Well, because it's absolute truth. Supposedly, if it's absolute truth, then why is there a contradiction? So now, if you're following my line of logic, notice how I put Satan in that paradigm where Satan is a dark spirit. He's a dark spirit creature. He's a beautiful, dark God. And by means of his darkness, he's going to teach you things by means of that darkness, and to explain what that means. So I'm not speaking in metaphors trying to trick you, and what I mean by darkness. See, I'm gonna explain. When I say the word darkness, I mean how he could seemingly lie, but what he's really doing is holding back truth, because Satan and the demons, they're not in the business of just giving you answers. They want you to figure out yourself, and you arrive at the answers. And if they need to correct, then they correct. I've been there. I know that from Satan personally. That's a good thing. Because when I compare that to some absolute truth, supposed absolute truth from my past, how come this Yahweh character doesn't come down, look at a holy book that is so filled with contradictions and doesn't correct it? But yet Satan, Belial, Lilith, Agaris, Belzebub, I could go on and on and on about all my Patreons, all my demon friends, and they would fucking correct me in a second. Sorath would come down as a speeding bullet to correct any small changes. Those are witnesses. Those are real witnesses that perform immediate changes at the proper time. That's good. As opposed to where I've come from. That's a major thing. And I'm sharing this with you, friends, is because perhaps there's someone out there that can listen to this video and they understand what it's like to come from any major religion when it is so inerrant, it is so doused, and this absolute truth that even when you question it, you're wrong. And you have those doubts. But yet, I'm in the left-hand path, and I've never been more free. I've never been more free because Satan is never telling me never to question what I believe in the left-hand path, but he's telling me fucking do it. Create your own gnosis. And I repeat, create your own gnosis. That's spectacular. That's amazing. That's why I am happy to say that when I'm trying to really understand where I'm coming from, and I know Satan and the rest of my Patreons, the Goetia, they don't take it the wrong way, and I hope they don't. I know they don't. And if they do, they know I love them. They're family to me, and they always treat me well. And they know that I try my darndest to really figure out how could I become more adaptable and understand the left-hand path and use the black magic to incorporate it within my life, to use it to the best of my ability so I could be a better version of myself. Because I'm happy to say I don't carry that bullshit in the left-hand path. I mean it. I don't carry that bullshit here. I don't say that Satan is without mistakes. He is so perfect that he is inerrant. No. If Satan has something to say that needs to be fixed, he's gonna do it. He's gonna fucking do it. So that's why I thought I should make this video, because that was something that really bothered me today. Because I'm having all these thoughts in my fucking mind, and I'm thinking about how could I look at the left-hand path and go, how do I know that this isn't a short-term belief, some phase that I'm going through? Besides all the beautiful signs I have, these 6 beautiful patrons I have, the Goetia as friends, you guys listening to me, having the privilege to be on YouTube. Hell, I've even questioned, why would Satan even have me on YouTube speaking with you guys? I don't know if I said this before, but for Satan to choose me to tell me to share my experiences with you guys. I've been a month on YouTube just sharing all these amazing experiences. In 1 month, I got about close to 60 videos already done. You can't say I'm not working hard. And I'm self-improving along the way, making sure that everything I believe in, when I come on camera, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. So that as you guys look at this video, you see me eye to eye, you know that I'm not BSing you. And you know that when you have your personal relationship, perhaps with Buller, or Garrett, whomever it is your patron of the Dark Divine, that you're getting your money's worth. that perhaps the same questions that I bring to the fore in these videos, you've asked them yourself. That's why I thought throughout today and perhaps even yesterday, do not fall victim with the whole idea of absolute certainty. Because you're going to miss out on all the opportunities to learn to self-develop. Just think about it. What if I saw Satan the way I saw Yahweh? He doesn't make mistakes. Then when you find these mistakes, you can't live with yourself. Now all of a sudden, this Yahweh character is not as great as he is, because he's not. I fell into that, to be quite honest with you. I fell into that shit, looking at Satan as if he had 7 fucking heads. But it was good. It was a good challenge for myself. How could I prove, and again, that this is a short term, but it's really a long term thing that I have going for myself? Well, for starters, I don't have to see this as absolute certainty. You can be versatile. And that's a good thing about being less than 100%. And the reason being is that you're open to improvement, you grow, and you're able to add on along the way with all the things you've learned in your black magic and the occult. You know, even when it comes to the beginning, as I closing this video, in the beginning, in the left hand path, I started out as a Joy of Satan member, and it's just very interesting that Satan, in the very beginning, the conception of the Joy of Satan group, I'm not going to touch on it deeply, but that was just a starting group for me, because right away Satan and I, it's almost as if we looked at each other, and he's like, not that he said this, but it's almost as if he's like, you're just going to spend a short time here, but you're going to be independent. You're going to learn some stuff here and how to do it, but you're going to go somewhere else, and you're going to be independent. Because the things I've learned, I'm thankful for at that time in the Joyous Satan group. But now I'm being independent, and I'm learning all different types of magic, all different types of beings outside of what is taught in the JOS system many years ago. I kid you not. It's a beautiful thing. Having an Archangel Michael, or should I say Archangel Gabriel. I'm looking into Archangel Michael, but having Archangel Gabriel as my patriarch, that's fucking awesome. You know, looking at other pantheons outside of the Goetia, it's awesome. It's obsolete many years ago, even in the conception of my left-hand path journey. But now I'm able to do so. And all the so-called fear about angels, the fear of doing the lesser or even the greater key of Solomon rituals. I mean, I don't do angel names in the sense of the divine names to demand these beautiful dark beings, these demons. I don't demand anything of them. I treat them with respect. But to actually do that, despite all the so-called absolute truth. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are things that we could be very certain about. That's why I say the most you could be is at 99.9999 certainty. And I do all these other magic spells. And it worked out. I'm happy. Fuck it. Of the Qliphoth, I actually did a ritual, and I had Doth as a friend. I mean, could you believe that? That's fucking amazing. It's like I'm developing, I'm learning, and it feels really, really good. And as I continue on, it teaches me that, again, you don't want to be absolute. It just limits you for all the possibilities. You know, it just limits you. And lastly, I know I said that before, but I want to make another point. But I will say, when I look at the whole idea of absolute certainty and I apply that to my experiences, I can't help but to go back into my own past. And I'm gonna put it out there. I never did this before, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna be authentic and I'm going to be very positive with you. And what I mean by that is that this is something in my life that I've never shared. And I mean it. You know? And as Satan's hearing me, as you guys, my fams, are listening to me on this channel, I'm gonna be honest with you. There's been times when I really thought that Satan was a liar because, and this is where the whole bullshit comes in with absolute truth, because Satan would deliberately tell me, you know, I would receive something. And what that something was is in the beginning, and it's embarrassing. And that's why I'm saying I'm being honest with you. I don't have to say this, but I want to say this so that you understand where I'm coming from. It's very authentic, okay? So when I first came into the left hand path, I wanted to win the lottery. Most people do. You know, when you first come in, that's the first thing you thought, and Satan agreed with it. He was like, sure. But of course, little did I know that Satan had other things in store. Um, as time went on, Satan was encouraging it. But little did I know, each and every time I've never received the winnings of the lottery, but he will always encourage me to get back up and do it again. But each and every time, I've never received it. And mind you, little but surely, I was struggling with the absolute thought with certainty. If Satan is telling me that I'm going to receive the lottery winnings and I'm not receiving it, that Christian indoctrinated mind was, those gears was turning, and I'm saying, you know what? Those who know these words are going to come out of my mouth. You know what it was like when you was a Christian, especially if it was a fundamental background, that it was a test. You know how that shit goes, how Christians are. It was a fucking test. And I'm like, it was a test. He must be testing me. Even though I don't like to use those words, test. It's very judo Christian like, but I thought it was a test, And again, I'm referring to the beginning of my conception of being in the left hand path. And I never received it. But I'm very happy that Satan never have given me the lottery, because after the final time that he allowed me to believe in such a belief system, I was able to go on to a different belief system that I never knew before, and that's, simply put, that there's infinite ways of possibilities that Satan could give me this money. Because obviously I was being too narrow-minded. I was limiting myself. Not only with absolute certainty, but limiting myself by saying the lottery is the only way that I'm going to fucking get the money. And mind you, friends, those who are listening, do not get me wrong. Satan and the demons, it is true that he can give people lottery winnings. It's possible. It's not saying, I'm not saying that it's not possible. I'm simply saying, according to my experience and how Satan was trying to teach me to develop my upbringing in the left-hand path, I didn't win for good reason. Hence, I said infinite amount of possibilities that I could receive it. And that was a very beautiful learning lesson, because he directed me to the Kabbalion, even to certain light workers, not to be a light worker, but to understand how they saw the world, manifestation, frequency, vibrations, all that good stuff. And I really, really learned, because I didn't really know jack shit about anything, because I was new in the left-hand path, but I've learned. But it's recently that I've learned that absolute certainty, dude, you don't want to go there. Because when you get to a point where you're learning, right? And Satan, Beelzebub, whomever, these beautiful dark beings, these demons will teach you. They would deliberately, here's the air quotes, lie, even though they're not really lying, they're holding back truth to teach you something. you start to realize, wow, I'm doing something wrong. It's not so much that I'm not going to receive that windfall from Satan. I'm putting too much stock, absolute certainty, on this belief system. How about you don't do the absolute certainty, but you could put a good measure amount of certainty on it? Because you could be in a state of knowing that, and this is how manifestation works. You could be on a state of knowing that eventually that you're going to get that manifestation, while knowing that you need to learn, you need to grow, time needs to go by. You need to also know that time as opposed to the physical plane and the astral plane are different. And you also have to know that by working with these demons, that you're putting your well-being and your welfare in their hands. So that simply means, if there were any other way for you to ascertain a money, a baneful match, whatever it is, but you ask them for assistance, then you simply have to wait and be taught by them, because you're under their tutelage. So you have to wait. It's only logical. And there's much, much more to it. There's so many more components, but those are the few that I can think of right now by making this video. And because it helped me out a lot, and I'm more than sure that it can help you out a lot, fams, because once you really understand how things work in the left-hand path, you're just going to benefit. You got to benefit, and you be way more better off than other people out there, because they're out there scrambling. They're putting absolute certainty on this one thing that Satan had said. It doesn't come into fruition. They act as if there's knives all over them, and then they're out of the left-hand path the very next day, and they run back to, that Nazarene, complaining that Satan had lied to them and Satan had hurt them. When in reality, it's like, dude, is it really the outcome you're focusing on, or is the small steps, the adaptation, and the learning? As a formula I put into practice, you have pain plus stimulus equals change. Pain plus stimulus equals change. That simply means that pain is essential to life. Organisms need it. And that stimulus, which is really empowered and actuates by means of that pain, you're going to adapt. And as you adapt and you improve and you become stronger through your adaptation, okay? That's adaptation. Then change abounds. You can only achieve that not by absolute certainty, but by certainty. Because you can only be absolute in a sense where, how can I put this? It's one of those things where it's just tricky. I can't think of a decision, but it's one of those things where you're better off by saying that you could be again, I go back on the logic of 99.999 certain. That things are gonna abound because it's gonna work in your favor. I mean, if your friends could think of certain things that you could base your absolute certainty, go right ahead. But it's safe to say that you could be 99.99 or whatever, etc., certain. Especially when the things that Satan says, you want to have that, that unwavering faith, that gusto, if you will, to walk this left-hand path, to be strong, because you need that strength to withheld, well, not to withheld, I'm sorry, using the wrong word here, but to withstand all those, let's say, the pain, to the reality of really working with a dark spirit, because it's not easy. Anyone that comes to the left-hand path knows that it's not easy. It's hard work. It's pain involved. It's a reality check. It's not for beginners. People think the right-hand path is easy. try the left-hand path. People come and go like hotcakes. It's not fucking easy. Hence, I'm talking about in this video about absolute certainty. Again, it's my weakness that I've learned never to go, you know what? Because Satan said it. Sorry guys, I had to clear my throat for a second. But what I was trying to say is, you don't want to be that individual that foolishly goes, oh, Satan is absolutely certain about, or should I say, let me rephrase that. I'm absolutely certain that because Satan said I'm going to get this, or this is going to happen, it's absolutely going to happen. I mean, it can. We're not saying that it never happens. I'm just saying from my personal experiences, it really backfired on me. And I was really better off by simply saying, well, I'm certain that it's going to happen, but you want to leave room for learning, because if it doesn't happen, that must mean that I need to go back to the drawing board. And I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm saying at this point in 30 minutes within of this video, what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to develop here, because it's something that's very important to me, guys, and I don't mean to ramble on, but it's just one of those things where I'm really trying to do my best and really to reach out for you guys so that you could feel that love, you could feel that demonic love through your own particular demons as well. And you know that I'm being fucking for real here, that it's one of those things where you have to level with me. It's one of those things where people, if it's not the number one thing, it's up there when people just leave the left-hand path because they don't understand that when they work with dark beings, it's like they lie, but they don't really lie. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like they're really trying to tell you something when they're lying. You get what I'm trying to say? But if you don't know anything about them, and you're putting all that strength and that absolute certainty on what they're saying, they leave the left hand path. And that's my whole point of why I'm making this video. So guys, I hope you guys enjoy this video. It's been really long. It's probably one of my longest videos. But I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys benefit from it. I love you all. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions you want to add to it, please comment down below. And as always, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. I love you all. And please smash that like button. And I see you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye.